This beautiful weeping Japanese maple is going to be auctioned this Friday with a reserve price of just 10 cents. Now, if you came in store to buy this, it's priced at $1,299 and it's going under the hammer with a reserve of only 10 cents. Minimum bid is 10 cents, maximum bid is $5. This could go for $500 or maybe only $400, maybe only $300 or maybe only $200, who knows? So tune in to our Grow Wreck flash sale, get into the auction this Friday 12 o'clock and this beautiful maple goes under the hammer and it could be something like this, $49.99, going, oh, it's gone! It's a wonderful day to come into Hello. We've got our store absolutely, I'm here in my pink tutu of course, and we've got our store absolutely chock-a-block with beautiful stock. These hydrangea here are paniculata and they're called graffiti and they're absolutely gorgeous. You're going to find a whole nursery chock-a-block with beautiful stock, so come down and check it out. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. We've got a nursery full of the most interesting little things. We've got these vicious little flesh-eating Venus flytraps. Got to be careful, you could lose a finger there. And I've got these, look at these are called Life on the Rocks. And what you've got is a beautiful little bonsai just attached to a rock there. Isn't that gorgeous? So Life on the Rocks, isn't that wonderful? Lots and lots of wonderful and interesting bits and pieces. So come down and take a look. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. Right now is the very best time of year to plant. A lot of people think springtime is the best time of year to plant, but I'll explain to you why right now is the best time to plant. What you've got right now is you've got your autumn rains are coming, the weather's cooled down, we've got long cool nights, but we still have nice warm days. The soil is warm. So if you plant a plant right now, it goes into warm soil. Evaporation is less than half of what it was 6 weeks ago. So you've got low evaporation rate, so you water your new plant in, it's in warm soil, you water it in, and you don't have to water it every day or anything like that. Give it a bit of fertilizer, and if you were to pull that plant out after only 10 or 12 days, you'll find that new little white roots are starting to grow because plants love warm soil. And the other reason why it's great to plant right now is that from now till Christmas time, Melbourne and Victoria tends to be fairly moist and not too cold and not too hot. So the plant has a nice gentle time establishing. It grows its roots in autumn and into the winter, and then in springtime, that nicely established little plant is going to rocket away and you get that full spring growth. Whereas if you plant in springtime, the plant isn't really established and then it's only a matter of weeks and you're into your hot summer weather and the plant could struggle a little. Whereas your well-established plant that's grown strongly in the springtime is going to romp through next summer. So right now is the very best time to plant. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. We're open every day, and if you come in, this is a $24.99 anthurium that has the beautiful dark red flowers, gorgeous little indoor plant, lovely to have in the house, very hardy, lasts you for years, and we're going to give one for free, a $24.99 anthurium for free for every single customer that shops with us. Here we are. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. This is one of the most talked about plants on my socials, and believe it or not, it's an Australian native. And what it is, I call it Zen moss, and what it does is it grows up above the snow line in Victoria, say Mount Buller, and it gets covered and buried in snow in the winter, and then after the snow melts, it's exposed to full hot sun. It loves the full hot sun, and it grows in cracks in the rocks that have sort of got gravelly, well-drained soil. So to really enjoy this, you plant it in a nice warm sunny spot, nice loose well-drained soil, a little bit of fertilizer and plenty of water, and you've got this beautiful fast growing mossy mound that you can grow in a pot, grow it underneath as an understory under another plant in a pot, or grow it in the garden, plant an enormous ground cover of it, do whatever you want. It's one of the most versatile plants around and it's lovely. People love it, and I notice it even attracts children. I'll be walking around the nursery sometimes and we'll have a display of this and I'll come across a little child just patting it. So Zen moss puts a beautiful sort of Zen feeling into your garden, great in your Zen style gardens. Zen moss, beautiful. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap Tap the link and let's go. Now's the time to shop online at Hello Hello. If you were to spend over $99 at Hello Hello right now, you would get this magnificent Chef's Choice Rosemary. Fabulous fragrance, beautiful flavour, valued at $30. And then if you were to spend over $199, you'd get this beautiful Japanese maple, red autumn colour, beautiful shape, valued at $89.99. And then if you were to spend $299, you'd get this beautiful Pure Silk Sasanqua Camellia. Now it's covered in the most gorgeous little buds, and those buds are going to come out as beautiful pale pink and white flowers. Lovely foliage, very, very versatile, valued at $149.99, free when you spend $299, and then when you spend $399.
All right, welcome to our live question and answers with Chris. He's going to gardening questions for the next 30 minutes or 45 minutes. We'll see how we go today. We've already got a few questions that have started coming through, so we'll get stuck straight into it. But actually, before we do, is there anything you want to say? Chris, how you doing?
Great, and we seem to be having a lovely Indian summer. And what it is, it's warm, but it's not too hot. So it's a great time to get in and start planting some stuff in your garden because the evaporation rate's not too high. The nights are reasonably cool, but lovely, warm, sunny days. And I've just come back from our growing nursery this morning. I've noticed I've never seen plants grow like they've grown in the last week or so since I was last up there. So
Crazy growth period.
Beautiful time for growing. Like it's one of the best autumns I've ever seen. Often it's crazy hot and then it turns cold and miserable and you don't get any nice autumn growth, but it seems to be a really good growing season and a great time to get things planted and start getting your new garden or new plants or new feature trees established.
Yeah, wonderful. And who knows how long it might last, or it might, being in Melbourne, it could just drop off any moment, couldn't it? And then we're all of a sudden stuck in the cold.
Often Easter is a time where it starts to cool down a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, great time for gardening. So get your gardening questions in. This is your opportunity to have Chris answer it live on the show. And also I just want to, in addition to that, I want to say that we do offer a free garden design service with Chris. So if you do want to do that, you can have a one-to-one consultation with Chris. Just head over to hellohelloplants.com.au and you'll see our garden design service there.
Yeah, and I do probably 20 or 30 garden designs every week for people. And basically it works out, you pay $100, but then if you get your plants from us, that $100 comes off the top and it works out for free, which is amazing because some people charge thousands of dollars for a garden design, and I actually think my garden designs, in a way, because I do them right with you and I do exactly what you want as I go, that I actually think my garden designs could be some of the best available in Melbourne, and the fact that they're free is just incidental. It's something that we can afford to do.
Yeah.
And we do that as a service for our customers.
Wonderful. All right, well, let's get stuck into our first question here. Comes to us from Katie. Actually, so Katie says she's got two parts to the question. Had a passion fruit for about a year and a half. It has completely filled out the trellis that is on a large arch. How long do you think until I could expect fruit on it? And then the second part is, I have a passion fruit vine growing over an arch. It has grown completely over the arch, but now is starting to come back the other way. Should I trim it, or is it fine all intertwining with one another?
I think the intertwining is fine. And if it's a seedling, it could take several years to produce fruit, but if it's a grafted one, it should be producing fruit right now. And yeah,
okay.
So
maybe not a grafted one, or
I suspect it sounds to me like it could be a seedling one if it's not if after that time it's because the beauty of buying, one of the beauties of buying a grafted one is that they're sexually mature when you buy them.
Yeah.
And they could be producing fruit from a very young age. They're very vigorous and long-lived, the grafted ones, but basically that's the idea of grafting, is to get fruit from a young age. So it sounds to me like you've got a seedling and you might have another year or so to wait for your fruit.
All right, there you go. Just hold out, Katie, and hopefully that you'll see the fruit in about a year's time. Slinky Malinky says hello.
Hello, Slinky Malinky.
Love the name. Akash. Sorry, we missed Akash's question, was actually at the top there. I found it here. Just built in sunshine. The soil is very bad because with building rubble, concrete residue, paint, grout, also very heavy clay as they stripped off the topsoil. What should I do? Does gypsum work? In addition to my question, are there any go-to plants for poor conditions in Melbourne's west?
Yeah, okay, so basically what you'll find is a lot of your native grasses and your tougher natives like westringias and things like that, really, really good in your and things like your cousin it. What you could do, I know we sound like we're plugging the free garden side, but you could come in for a free garden side and I could look at it and I could prescribe a whole range of plants. But what I'd suggest you do is moisten the clay, turn it over, and there's a sort of a giant Indian hoe that's fantastic for digging hard material. But if you get a socket hose, go down to Bunnings, buy yourself a socket hose. They're those sort of green flat hoses. Unroll it, and then get a bit of chemical soil wetter, sprinkle a bit of soil wet over the whole thing, and give it, and then sort of move it around and do half-hour shifts and do a half-hour shift all over the garden, and do that again and again for a couple of weeks. And what you'll find is that you'll find it'll become softer, and then I'd get one of those Indian hoes or a shovel and I'd dig, turn, smash the whole thing. And as I dig, turn, smash it, I'd get my kids out to help and do with some buckets and stuff and hand pick some of the building rubbish out of it, and sort of hand pick it over a few times. Then buy some good quality soil, and good quality soil with lots of organic material in it, mix through that sort of newly turned, dug and smashed soil, will break it up more than anything. And if you are buying gypsum, be careful what you buy and where you buy it. If you were to buy it from E.E. Muir & Sons and buy yourself good quality mineral gypsum, not just like chemical gypsum, if you bought good quality mineral gypsum, and mineral gypsum's like yellow beach sand, and if you mix that in along with some organic material, it's likely that you'll really break it up. And there's nothing like getting your kids out there to hand pick all the rubbish out of the builders, show them what to do, and as you dig it over, be picking all the time. And it's amazing how well you can clean up really filthy soil. I've done it myself many times on a building site.
Right.
Just a bit of steady hand picking and a bit of turning it over. And also what I finally do, and like I said, then you're mixing in the soil, and the other thing with gypsum is a lot of people tell you they used gypsum and it didn't work. But what you'll find if you investigate is you'll find that they will have used a chemical gypsum and not a mineral gypsum. And then to make a difference, you need to use 3 kilos of mineral gypsum per square metre to make a difference. So if you just pull a little bit of gypsum, it ain't going to make, if you put a handful of gypsum on your garden, it won't make any difference. It's 3 kilos per square metre. It's a mineral gypsum, and I'd mix it in together with some nice organic soil mix. And then if you finish off with a steel rake is a great way for picking up fine bits of rubbish while you're working. So you can finish it off with a steel rake and you'll clean that soil up heaps.
Beautiful, very comprehensive answer for Akash Wildlife. I hope you got to hear all of that.
Well, it's very important because I think you can't, and then after that, I tend to get there's some beautiful natives around that are compact growing, really, really hardy and really nice, great at taking sort of poor soils. And I could put together a beautiful design for you using those sort of modern natives that are really, really tough.
That will work in that.
Yeah, that got a bit of colour, got a bit of shape to them, and make a beautiful
sounds like you need a free garden designer, Cash.
Yeah, sounds like it. Anyway, let's take it from there. Okay.
But there's a very good answer for you. And if you do want to rewatch any of Chris's answers, after this live, we'll publish it onto YouTube. So if you just follow us on YouTube, which is Hello Plants.
But I think that answering that question in depth was kind of valuable in the sense that I get heaps and heaps of people with exactly the same problem: clay soil, builders rubbish, compacted and polluted after the construction.
Must be a common theme.
It's a common thing, and that's why I went in depth on the answer, because I think that might be an answer that is valuable for lots of people.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah. So you can always rewatch these lives. Just head over to YouTube, search for Hello Plants, and we'll publish this live as soon as we're done if you need to rewatch the answer. All right, awesome. We'll move along. Actually, just circling back to Katie, she mentioned she got the passion fruit from Bunnings. They wouldn't have sold a non-grafted one, do you think, or?
They easily could have. Like Nelly Callie sells seedlings, and we sell seedlings and grafted ones. The grafted ones you have to pay a little bit extra, and they do have grafted on the label.
Okay, so just maybe check the label if you still have it, Katie, from Bunnings in Queensland.
Yeah, look, it could easily be a seedling.
Easily be a seedling, all right.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Okay, good. And our next question comes to us from Darcy. When to cut back Ficus heli to get maximum growth next season?
I would be cutting back if I was in Victoria, so I'll qualify that. And so if I was up in Queensland, it'd be different. But if I was in Victoria, I'd be cutting back.
Oh, we don't know where Darcy hasn't said what they are.
Yeah, so let's imagine he's in Victoria.
Yeah.
I'd be going for a hard cut back, I reckon, first week in September. And the reason for that is that if you were to cut it back hard now, it'll gather less of the sun's energy through the winter. And if you cut it back in August, it'll be full of the sun's energy. You cut it back and then it'll boom away strongly. And what you could do if you are planning a big cutback, whether it be a ficus, or I was talking last night to somebody who was cutting back a lemon, I reckon you start feeding them July, August, September is the time for cutting things back hard, because it's not long till they start growing again. So if you're planning a big cutback, give it a good feed and a good water now, and build up the strength of it ready for the big cutback.
All right, beautiful. And then Darcy just had a follow-up question saying, my Gladitsia sunburst hasn't taken off after a year planted. It's fed and watered regularly. Good sun. It must be in good sun. How can I get it to get moving quickly?
Okay.
Darcy is in Victoria too.
Okay,
so it's the same person.
So what I would be tempted to do is, when winter comes, I'd be tempted to dig my my Gladitsia up and dig a massive hole and mix good soil right through that hole, mount it up slightly and plant the Gladitsia up a little bit with lots of loose soil all around it. So 50-50 mix of your soil and potting mix, massive hole. You dig the biggest hole you can get your hands on. Yeah. Throw a nice bit of dolomite lime on it, because they're a legume, they love a bit of lime, and then be very, very generous, have lovely porous soil around it, and be very generous with the water in the summer. Your Gladitzias love summer water, so they love summer water, and given an adequate supply of calcium, plenty of summer water, Gladitzias grow like crazy.
Really? There you go. All right, perfect. There you go, Darcy. And thanks for all the questions, guys. Keep the gardening questions.
It's a funny thing. Many years ago, I was a bit of a specialist. I used to grow millions of honey locusts.
Oh, yeah?
And people used to call me Mr. Honey Lucas.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good name.
Because I used to grow like 20,000 honey locusts a year. And honey locusts are great trees, and they're kind of a little bit of a forgotten tree these days, but I was called Mr. Honey. The people.
What are they good for, the agriculture scene?
Well, they can produce lots and lots of sugar, which you can use for stock feed or other applications.
Okay.
So that's kind of your agricultural varieties of honey locust.
Right. All right, well, there you go. Excellent answer there for you, Darcy. And again, if you want to rewatch this live, you can do it simply over on YouTube. After we finish, we'll publish it. You can rewatch the answers. And if you want to have a one-to-one consultation, you can also do that with Chris by checking out our gardening design service online. Just head over to helloplants.com.au. We're currently taking your questions. This live is for you guys, for the viewers. It's not for us to yabber on. So if you have any questions right now about your garden, now's the time to pick Chris' brain. Otherwise, you can do the one-to-one consultation. Akash, circling back to Akash, says, thanks, that's awesome advice. That was on getting his rubbled, polluted ground corrected. And also you helped him with the Gladitzias. Oh no, that was Darcy, sorry, different person. Les Marie says, thank you heaps. And let's have a look here. Teddy Bear Magnolia, this is from Sarah. We brought it big and lush. It's now just sparse with leaves. Clay soil in Queensland.
Right, okay, so I wonder how long it's been in for. If it's been in under 12 months, I'd go with what I said before. I'd wait till the weather cooled off a little bit. Perhaps I'd wait till July, and I would dig
12 months in, Sarah says.
Yeah, so 12 months in, I would wait till July. I would dig it up, dig a massive hole for it, mix lots of potting mix, very much the same as my Gladitsia. Lots of potting mix, loves a little bit of lime, loves a bit of fertilizer, and replanted in a massive hole, 50% potting, and even mounded up a little bit above so that underneath there's mountains of nice loose soil, mounded up a little bit, be generous with the Osmocote, generous with a bit of dolomite lime, and plenty of water through the dry season. Don't let it dry out through your winter dry season. And I'm sure it'll spark away once the weather warms up in spring.
All right, perfect. There you go, Sarah. So if you're curious about your garden, or you're not sure about a plant you've got in there, or you want to know what you could grow in your garden, then now is a really good time to ask the questions. Maybe you have a backyard that you've either got to redo or you're starting from scratch. Chris has got 60 years of horticultural expertise under his belt, and we are open live right now to take your questions. So don't be shy. I can see there's at least 20 people online with us right now that could ask questions, a small classroom. All right, cool. We do have one here coming from Gary. How do I know if my plant is outgrowing its pot?
Interesting question. There's different things, but basically, if your plant is pulling the pot over, like if it's falling over in the pot, it's either time you could reduce the size of it. Depending what the plant is, you can reduce the size of the plant
by snipping it. Yeah,
by snipping it and making it smaller, maybe. And like with bonsai, what they do is they pull them out at a certain time of year and they trim their roots and they trim the top and they make it smaller again, and they can keep it in the pot for like 132 years or something.
Yeah.
But so basically, but say you've got like a kumquat in a pot, and they will outgrow that pot, and then you might just change it up to a bigger pot and water it and fertilize it and put another layer of growth onto it. So the choice is, when the cooler weather, trimming the roots and trimming the tops, which you can do on most plants. Some plants won't take it, like there's a few Australian natives that really wouldn't take it, but most plants will take it, or you just take it up a size.
Awesome.
And I do that here. We have lots and lots of big old Japanese maples all through the store. It gives our nursery a lovely bit of character. And what I do is once a year I'll pull them out of the pot, put them into a bigger pot, good quality potting mix, good dose of fertilizer, and away they go again.
Awesome.
And they get bigger and more interesting every year.
There you go, Gary. Hopefully that helps you out with how to know if your plant is outgrowing its pots, and then you can pop it up into a bigger size. Rames Shadikari says hi on YouTube.
G'day.
Awesome. And Akasha's come back with a question. He's come back with a vengeance here. What's your recommendation for lawn species? I've had issues with kikuyu overtaking garden beds, but they do make good lawns. And is it better to go with the roll-on turf or seeds?
Okay. It depends on the size of the lawn and the size of your budget, really. Roll-on turf is fantastic because one day you got dirt and one day you got a lawn.
You've actually got a lawn,
yeah, and that's fantastic.
Wow,
but say you're on a tight budget, kikuyu, the way to do kikuyu, my partner redid our back lawn with kikuyu, and she got hold of just a couple of pieces of the kikuyu turf, and you could do, if you got hold of 3 or 4 square meters of kikuyu turf, you could pull it apart into little plants and stick them all over the backyard, and in no time at all you can because kikuyu is fantastic stuff. It's very, very aggressive.
Yeah.
And what you do is if you have timber garden edges, the kikuyu will go under and they'll spear into your garden and ruin your garden beds, right?
Yeah.
But if you do the old-fashioned cut garden edge and you buy yourself one of those lawn edges that cut around the edge,
the wheel,
and you cut around it regularly, or even like I've got a kikuyu lawn, and I'll run around the edge occasionally with a bit of Roundup and make sure it doesn't that really trims it. And,
is kikuyu the one that grows those long
spears? Yeah. And kikuyu is amazing stuff. I've seen sometimes they wrap electrical poles in steel. Yeah. Like in tin sheeting to stop possums or something getting up them. I'm not sure why they do it, but I imagine it's to stop the possums climbing them. At any rate, the kikuyu can get under that, and you see it pop up the top and leaf up maybe 10 or 15 metres up the pole. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
So kikuyu is the most amazing plant, and so it can be your best friend or your worst enemy. Look, it grows in the shade, dog urine, and big dogs can't wreck it. That's why we have it in our backyard, because the dogs can't destroy it very easily.
Yeah.
So there's lots of good things about kikuyu, but if you
it can make a good lawn when it's maintained, right?
And it'll sneak under or over your garden edges. Like we've got steel garden edges, and it's just straight over the top of our garden edges.
Really?
So
Wow.
I have to either use the weed eater and buzz right back to the steel, or sometimes when I'm a bit lazy, I'll run a bit of Roundup around the edge and burn it back from the edge. But basically, you have to contain it within the lawn, or it destroy your garden. And
sounds terrible.
No, but it's powerful. Like if you've got dogs, kids playing, if you've got bad shade spots, like big old trees that cause brown spots in your lawn, kikuyu is fantastic.
Okay.
But you just have to understand what you're up against. It's like some sort of amazing alien force that can just invade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, it keeps you on your feet.
Yeah. So then, on the other hand, like if you've got plenty of sun and things like Tiff Tuff or your Sir Walter Buffalo, fabulous stuff. But if you're really up against it, use kikuyu, and then you know, if you've got dogs or shade spots or whatever, use the kikuyu. But then just work out how to contain it properly. Don't underestimate its ability to spread.
Yeah. Did you get it, Chris? The mozzie? Was it a mozzie?
Yeah, I got the mozzie. Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. That's really awesome advice, actually. You kind of sold me on the kikuyu as well.
Yeah.
So there you go, Cash. Again, the Cash sounds like you need a garden design.
Yeah.
not trying to sell you the garden design service, but I think it would help. But you got some good advice here, and for all of those who are watching right now, you can also have an awesome answer like that if you have a gardening question or something about your garden that you want answered. All right, there's a couple more coming through here. Barry asks, hi Chris.
Hey Barry.
I have a north-facing wall with little sun. Could you please recommend plants that could thrive in these conditions? Thanks, Barry.
Okay.
Does he want it to grow on the wall, or?
Say if you wanted to grow on the wall, you'd find Boston ivy will swallow that wall. You plant Boston ivy up against the wall and boom, over it goes, all over the wall. Great, and it does great in the shade. But then north facing, if it was a big wall and there was plenty of shade there, you might, lots of people want to plant things like tractor seats, which are got those great big dark green leaves, or they want hydrangeas. A lot of the things that are really trendy and in style at the moment actually love the shade. And so you could do, let's see, things like winter rose, which are your Helioborus, beautiful winter flowers, tractor seats, real trendy and nice, dichondra, silver dichondra, green dichondra, gardenias, all sorts of things. Love that big shady wall. And then if you want to cover that shady wall, something like I said, the Boston ivy, or if you want a big bush up against that shady wall, you find your sweet viburnum thrives in the shade. Lovely big luscious green leaves, thrives in the shade. So sweet viburnum and Boston ivy to cover the wall. Cool. And then but you tend to use one or the other. And then your things like your winter rose, your Helioborus, your tractor seat, your gardenia, your hydrangea, all love that great big shady wall. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a really good selection. Hopefully you got to hear that, Barry. And we have another question here from
that light
Kate.
went out, if that's a problem.
What's that?
That light went out there.
Oh, okay. We should be all right. I think we can still see you, not too bad. Kate asks, I have some frangipani in larger pots. Is it okay for them to stay in the pots long term?
Yes, frangipani. Most plants, like long term, a lot of people think that potting mix dies or wears out or something like that. But what I think happens to potting mix is it runs out of calcium. So dolomite lime, I know it's the third time I mentioned it, but dolomite lime every 6 months on most pots will keep that potting mix performing, and then you just need a bit of Osmocote or something like that and you don't put that on, you put that on a month later than a dolomite lime, and you can keep your potting mix. And so for as long as you keep your potting mix alive, you can keep growing a frangipani in there.
Awesome. So you could just keep it in that pot forever, basically. Yeah. All right, there you go. I think that was Katie, and Katie says thank you. Elisha says hello.
Hi, Elisha.
All right, Barry says thanks, Chris, much appreciated. You're welcome, Barry.
No worries, Barry.
All right, now this question comes to us from Bill saying, what's the best way to prevent water from evaporating too quickly? This time of year though, you said it wasn't evaporating that quickly though, right?
That's right. I guess, like, there's things that you can do. What it is that I think a lot of people, like, I guess what we're talking about is watering the garden. Now, I think the best way is deep watering less often.
Okay.
And so sort of like a slow deep soak, and so and things like watering in the rain, like say you get a wet day. We've got a wet day coming up on Wednesday.
Oh, do we? Okay.
So if you got out your soaking hose or your sprinklers on Wednesday, and you pumped the place of water and you got the water down nice and deep, that water
before the rain, you mean?
During the rain.
Oh, during it. Okay.
During the rain.
Yeah.
During and after the rain, because what it is, I reckon that even fairly light rain will double or triple the penetration. So what you want to do is you want to get the water down deep. So the people that would lose the most to evaporation are where people go out and give their garden a quick squirt every evening. And they don't, and the water only goes, and what happens, the water goes in, say, this far, and then the next day it evaporates up there and they've got nothing. So the plant's really not getting any water because the water's not getting down where the roots are.
You're just sort of teasing it a bit.
You're teasing it, and you're just losing it all to evaporation. Whereas that same person, if they waited till Wednesday and they went out and absolutely soaked the garden, the water combined with the rain, the water might go down, 80 or 90 centimetres in the ground.
Get right down there properly,
And then the root, the bushes and trees and shrubs and things like that could be feasting on that water for the next 3 weeks because the weather's incredible. Pretty cool. Yeah. So the thing is, I think I've often, like, I remember.
Is that because the water, it acts like a channel, does it? So
water helps water go down, and like I remember one chap. He bought mop tops off me and he had them in for years, and then they all started to die. At any rate, I went down there and he was a funny guy. He was actually on the. I thought he'd be a bit smart. He was a weather announcer. Okay. At any rate, he said, "Look, there's some sort of disease in your robinias, and they're dying from a disease, and they were popping off one at a time." At any rate, I said, "How often do you water?" And he had beautiful green grass.
Yeah.
I said, "How often do you water?" He said, "Every day." I said, "How long for?" He said, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And so he watered for 30 seconds every day, and he had beautiful green grass everywhere, and these mop tops were dying. Anyway, so I dug down, and about an inch down under the ground were dust.
Yeah.
So the grass was getting just enough water to stay green and lush and beautiful.
Yeah.
And the robinias were living in dust, and they were dying.
Oh.
And anyway, so I said, "How about you switch over and you water for like, say, 45 minutes once a week?" Anyway, I don't know, they either all died or whatever happened, but I never heard a complaint again. So I imagine that because that 30 seconds a day was just kind of teasing them, it was just upsetting them.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so, so what I'm saying is that watering a big deep soak overnight is really good because your evaporation rate is low.
Yeah.
Or when it rains, or even I think it was Sunday morning was beautiful and foggy. So if you went out and you actually drowned your garden during that fog, there's no evaporation and the water's just going to go down, 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 in. So take advantage of fog, take advantage of nighttime, take advantage of rain, even light rain, and water, and get the water in nice and deep, and you will avoid the percentage that is lost to evaporation.
Awesome. That's a really awesome answer. There you go, Bill, and I hope that helps answer your question there on what's the best way to prevent water from evaporating too quickly. We're getting a few questions in here, and if you've just joined us or you're wondering what this live is about, it's literally a question and answers with Chris. Just ask him any gardening question you may have, and Chris will answer it live here on the show. 60 years of horticultural expertise, and happy to answer your questions for you live.
And one thing that does help me, like if you're saying, what should we be planting at this time of year, and by the way, I'm living in San Francisco.
Yeah.
It helps.
Location,
me. Yeah, location is really good, because I might say something quite different than if you said you live in Werribee.
Yeah, location is key. So if you do have a question, please do let us know what region or where you're from, just so we can help answer your question adequately. Alright, so Sarah's here asking, how can I tell if my plant is getting too much wind exposure?
Actually, one thing, a lot of people were telling me, and it was kind of true, a lot of people were telling me that heat or wind was destroying their plants. But when I took a look at it, what I would say is that in the heat and in the wind, combined with poor watering, the plants were badly damaged. So a real lot of plants, like say a silver birch, if you had a silver birch in a hot exposed spot, that's a very wind hardy tree. But if you get lots and lots of wind, and the tree's got a lack of moisture, the leaves will frizzle. So often where people told me that heat and wind had damaged the plants, that happened a little bit in our production nursery. They weren't watering quite enough, and they said, the heat is killing the plants. Well, it kind of was, but it was only because the hot plants that didn't have enough water were dying, But if you pump the water into them and give them adequate moisture, and they need more the hotter it is, the more moisture a plant needs. Yeah. So give an adequate. So very often the heat and wind damage is caused by heat and wind with a lack of moisture. So heat and wind with adequate moisture, you don't have damage, but there are exceptions to that. And what I noticed is something like, say, a forest pansy has these beautiful big heart-shaped leaves. Yeah. And my daughter planted an avenue of them on a farm that she had on a hilltop, and the leaves shattered.
Why, too windy?
Yeah. Okay. And they had adequate moisture and beautiful soil and everything was fine, but the wind destroyed them. So, and what I learned from that was I learned not to plant forest pansies in extremely exposed locations. So there's two sides to that heat-wind argument. One is that with a lack of moisture in hot windy conditions, plants will frizzle, but there are also things with big leaves like hydrangeas, forest pansies, giant birds of paradise. They will shatter with too much wind. But watch out for sort of blaming the wind when it's really the moisture.
Okay, something to definitely look into there, Sarah. Ensure you've got the moisture up. But yes, good advice there too from Chris. Erica says hello from the USA.
Hi, Erica.
Are there any mop head hydrangeas that can handle full sun? Or should I just stick to a paniculata hydrangea?
Okay, paniculata hydrangeas, and there's various varieties of them, and I think if you fiddle around you might find one of them more hardy than the other. A friend of mine, I don't know whether you've got the same brand name over there, but there's one here called Sunday Phrase, and a friend of mine grows them in full hot sun commercially, and they do fabulously. And I guess the factor to keep in your mind in the full hot sun, paniculatas are the best, and there'll be some paniculatas that are better than others, and you might check out that Sunday Phrase. Good strong grower, beautiful plant, but the rider is with adequate moisture. So what it is you have to be in full hot sun. You have to be very generous with the moisture. And if it's in full flower and you let it run out of water even for a matter of hours, you'll tend to frizzle up the flowers. But if you keep the moisture up to it, you'll be able to grow paniculata hydrangeas and see. I don't know, in Australia we've got one called Sunday Phrase. See if you can buy that one in the States, and that's the one that probably considered the number one in hot sun. Although one of our other suppliers is growing graffiti in full hot sun. So you could look at graffiti, and graffiti's gorgeous. So stick with the paniculatas and keep the water up to them, and you'll be right.
All right, there you go, Erica. That's a good answer for you there. Maztaz asks, any advice on avo trees in the ground? Leaves dry off regularly, no fruit, Werribee.
Right, okay. So first of all, a lot of people are growing avocados from seed. And I've never seen anybody do any good with an avocado from seed. Yeah. Stick with your grafted varieties, and we have grafted varieties here that are suited to the Melbourne climate. I think that avocados they are a large leaf plant. Werribee is a pretty windy area, so I'd be looking at a nice hot sunny spot with a bit of wind protection. And then Werribee's got some pretty good some nice deep red volcanics, and that would be perfect for So hopefully you're in the good soil. If you're not in the good soil, you're going to have to dig a real hole, big hole, mix in some potting mix, finish it off in a nice mound, get it out of the really extreme winds, because Werribee is one of the windiest spots around Melbourne. Get it out of the extreme wind, nice sunny spot, and use a grafted variety, a good grafted variety, and you'll be in business.
All right, there you go, Maztaz. Erica says thank you for answering the question on the hydrangeas before. And thank you to Andrea, sent us a heart me and a finger heart.
Thank you very much.
All right, became the number 7 fan in the fan club.
Wow.
By doing that. Yeah, if you do enjoy it, we do appreciate it. It does help others discover when you leave a like or share or do any of that social goodness. All right, Pete asks, why is my English box going yellow? Sounds hungry, isn't it? English box
No.
What's that?
I'd like to know what the story is with your English box. Is it growing in a pot or growing in the ground? That'd be my first question. And then there's a couple of reasons. Like if it's very often people plant English box hedges in soil that they buy from the local soil yard, and often that can turn get a weird pH or lack of calcium or something like that. So
it says Pete says growing in our landscaped garden bed.
Okay, so probably brand new soil. Like there's two possible problems. One, what I'd do is I'd stick my spade in there and I'd look down about 25-30 centimeters in the ground, and I'd make sure that you didn't have wet feet. I'd make sure that it didn't smell bad down there, like smell like a septic tank down there. So I'd stick my spade in and I'd pull up a bit of soil down from about 25 centimeters deep in the ground, and I'd smell it. And if it smelled sweet, and if it smelled like it came out of a septic tank, then what you've got is you've got wet feet. Now if it smells sweet, what you've got is lack of nutrients. So what you need to do is you need to get yourself some dolomite lime. E.E. Muir's down in Laverton would be the place I'd go. I'd get a mineral dolomite lime. I'd put on 1 kilo. No, I'd put on 1 kilo per metre of hedge. I'd leave it for a month, and then I'd put something like Osmocote or Dynamic Lifter on to get a bit of nitrogen in there. But you've got to put your calcium on first, let that go in, and then so basically. Now the thing with English boxes, they do suffer from wet feet, so make sure you haven't got wet feet. But then if it's not wet feet and you've got nice sweet soil down 25 centimetres in the ground, then what you do is that you've got to get the lime on. Then a month later, go for something with a bit of nitrogen in it, like your Osmocote or your Dynamic Lifter. Good heavy dose, and with the calcium in place, you find that the box can process the nitrogen and turn your box green. And it's a funny thing, but a lot of nurserymen don't even know that, and I've often gone somewhere, seen a nurseryman with a great big patch of yellow box, bought the lot cheap, chucked some dolomite lime on it, month later put on the nitrogen fertiliser, and then a month or two later be selling beautiful green box for top dollar. So box is easy to green up, and it's basically give it some calcium, give it a bit of a break, and then give it some nitrogen, and she's away. But that won't work if you've got wet feet. And if you've got wet feet, basically you're going to have to wait till the cold weather, dig them up, put an ag drain in there, drain the moisture away, put some good soil on top of the ag drain so it's nice and well drained. Then whack on your dolomite lime and your Osmocote and everything like that, and away you go. So the yellow is either drainage, and you're checking for sort of the septic kind of soil down at 25 centimetres in the ground, or it's a lack of calcium and and then unable to process the nitrogen.
All right, there you go, Pete. Pete's just made a few comments. We brought the house, they landscaped the garden, the previous owners, and then he said, "Thank you very much for the advice. It's got black mulch around."
Yeah. Look, it's what I say. It's either wet feet, which does occur quite often, and box is very sensitive to wet feet, or it's that lack of calcium and lack of nitrogen.
All right, fantastic. All right, we've got a few more questions here. We're only going to be answering a few more questions. If you have any gardening questions, please get them through now, and we'll finish up. Andrea says, "I love bougainvilleas, but live in Canada. Could I keep them indoors?"
Make yourself a bit of a hothouse, and you'll be right.
Try the hothouse? How come it won't grow indoors? Just not enough light?
It's not an indoor plant.
It's not an indoor plant. Okay. Yeah. All right, there you go, Andrea.
Although what you could do is you could put them out for the Canadian summer and bring them indoors let them go dormant outdoors as the cold comes in, and then bring them indoors dormant, but keep them cold, like have them in a cold room or something like that. Keep them cold and dormant for the winter, because your frosty winter in Canada is going to actually destroy it.
Yeah, because I remember Kim, he said he had it in a garage, his one. He had a big 100-year-old bougainvillea.
Yeah.
Kept it in a garage. I don't know how long he kept it in a garage for.
Yeah, but certainly when they're dormant in the winter. But the problem is if you brought it into a warm room in the winter, they'd start to grow. And then if they started to grow too early, then they kind of wouldn't work well as an indoor plant. So almost like a kind of an icy, like an icy garage or something like that. There was a bit cold, but not too, no warmth for growth. And so out in the sun for the summer. So you could put one in a pot, have it out for the summer, let it lose its leaves in the autumn, bring it into a sheltered spot, get it through the winter, and then back out in the sun in a pot. Would be how a Canadian could enjoy a bougainvillea. And a bougainvillea would be twice as, like here in our gorgeous city of Melbourne with our fabulous climate, voted one of the best cities to live in the world. Bougainvilleas flourish and grow everywhere, but we don't have that Canadian winter. So.
All right, thank you. I will try, says Andrea. Yeah, good luck. Give us a follow-up story, see how we go.
Yeah.
Be interested to know. All right, Christina, we're just going to go through a few more questions here. We have to wrap up live shortly. Christina says, can Dutch box grow in clay-type soil? Thank you.
No. Well, not no. Yes, you could, but you wouldn't. Because what it is that what you'll find in Melbourne, that for every Dutch box that we sell here, I reckon I sell about 50 English box. Like they're such a minority of our sale. And the reason is, Dutch box, like Holland, I think has fabulous soil, and basically Dutch box are fussy. They want beautiful soil, they want plentiful moisture, they want good drainage, they want fabulous conditions. And if you get the Dutch box and you give it the most, if you've got sort of place where Dutch box does really well is like a place like Mombog.
Christina's in Adelaide Hills.
Yeah, so Adelaide Hills, I wouldn't call it. There's nothing fabulous about the soil or anything up in the Adelaide Hills. So Dutch box wants fabulous soil, plenty of moisture, plenty of fertilizer, and then it rewards you with one of the most beautiful boxes you could ever have. They absolutely glow, so they want really good conditions. But whereas English box or Japanese box, like I see lots of, when I go to Adelaide, I see lots and lots of Japanese box growing in very average soils and absolutely flourishes over there. So English box or Japanese box will be much more the answer. Or the other thing that I've done really well with, I haven't lived in Adelaide, but we've often shipped to people in Adelaide, is your Tom Thumb, like moving away from the box, your Tom Thumb or your Green Rocket euonymus. If you like, I had one guy, and I sent across some Lanissa and Isida for him to grow a hedge, and they all died.
Where was that to?
It was in Adelaide Hills.
Oh, yeah.
And so I sent him another lot, and they all died too. And we had this guarantee on these mail order things. And so I rang him up and said, look, I can't send you another lot because you're going to die. Yeah. And so I sent him Tom Thumb. Yeah. And and then he kept buying 100 off me regularly on a regular basis. He said so in a situation where your Tom Thumb just died, where your Lanissa and Itida, which is a sort of a Japanese box style plant, where they died, the Tom Thumb flourished. And I've often had that situation where someone, so we deal all over the place, and where someone's struggling with English box, I've often replaced with Tom Thumb or Green Rocket and had it flourish. So Tom Thumb, Green Rocket, Japanese box, all much tougher than Dutch box.
Okay, yeah. There you go, Christina. Sounds like the Dutch box are a bit fussy. Give them a whirl, Christina.
Yeah.
All right, and Erica's just circling back saying, I found the USA equivalent of Sunday Fraise hydrangea. It's called Strawberry Sunday here.
Wow.
It looks beautiful. I'll give it a try, thank you.
Yeah, and keep the water up.
All right, cool. And then Mama, hello from Jacksonville, Florida, USA. Chris, what new plants are you excited about this season?
What new plants am I excited about this season?
I would have thought you'd say maples straight away. So they're going to pop soon.
Actually, what's what's really popular here in Australia is your Hampton style garden, and what's been coming into vogue is and you can see it on our website, is the Hakura Nishiki willow. And what it is the most gorgeous willow that comes from Japan, and it's not a big tree willow, it's a bush willow, just a little bush willow, and people are making them into standards. They're making them into a ball on a stick, and they just glow all spring and early summer with whites and pinks in the they have no flowers, but just whites and pinks in the foliage, and people are going crazy for it. And I really like them. And what it is, lots of the subdivisions in Melbourne have terrible soil, and people, a lot of the young people coming in buying a new house have no idea how to plant a garden. And I'm excited about those because I can sell them with confidence. Where if I sell them an expensive Japanese maple and I know they're going to kill it and be all upset, I sell them one of these Nishiki willows and they don't know how to kill them. Like, they're almost impossible to kill and they look gorgeous. So I've been having sort of fun with that and using that in my garden designs. And you could look it up. And I don't know if they're around. I'd love to know if you can get them in America, but they're very, very popular in England. So they're all around in England. They haven't really caught on here yet.
They're starting to, though.
Yeah, we're one of the only nurseries selling them, and our customers are doing really well with them. And I've been quite excited about them. And I got up early this morning and I was working out how to fit 6,000 of them into my nursery. So, so I'm planning next year to go from having like 100 or so a year to 6,000 a year, because it's lots of fun having something that anybody can grow that's desirable and beautiful.
Awesome. All right. There you go. Thanks for the question, Mama, all the way from Florida, USA. And Andrea, thank you for the finger heart. That's much appreciated. Please like and share this live if you're enjoying it here today. Tiger Cub 64 says, what are some flowering grasses you can grow in pots, mostly shaded position?
Flowering grasses. There's some. I wonder if they're in Australia. There's some great.
What is it? Flowering grass, kangaroo paw or something?
Well, there's some bulbs. There's some there's a native wild iris. There's wild irises like your dietes, and then there's your dietes bicolor, which is a yellow one. And there's some beautiful native.
Mostly shade.
Yeah, and there's some beautiful native dietes that have blue flowers. Like there's one called Morning Flag, and they're really pretty. Pretty whole masses of beautiful little blue flowers, and they're really, really pretty.
Awesome. There you go, Tiger Cub 64. Mama 2403 says, I'll check into it here. Thank you.
Yeah, let me know if you can find them in America.
Yeah, be interested to know, actually. Shoot us a DM. All right, cool. And we'll make this the last question for the day because we've gone a little bit over time. DJ774 asks, should I plant a Manchurian pear or capital pear on a large block?
Okay. The Manchurian pears and capital pears are both really, really good. What I like about the Manchurian pear is it's a beautiful spreading tree. It has large horizontal branches. Yeah, your Manchurian pear has large horizontal branches, and where I use the Manchurian pears is where people want to grow a pleach hedge. That's like a hedge on a stick. Manchurian pear, beautiful straight trunk, and then the horizontal branches, you can cut it into a beautiful square and make a beautiful pleach hedge with it. It also makes the best, if you wanted to have a lovely spreading tree where the your whole extended family could have a big picnic, Sunday picnic underneath it, Manchurian pear, beautiful spreading tree. But then if you wanted an avenue with a beautiful vertical sort of a tree, now your Manchurian pear, the fault of a Manchurian pear is that if you're in a very windy area where you get extreme winds, your Manchurian pear tends to spread out really wide and could then break up in the wind. So so in very windy areas. So where I'm looking after customers in very windy areas, I'm much more likely to prescribe a capital pear or a Cleveland ornamental pear because they have tight upward branches, and those tight upward branches don't break up in the wind. But the Manchurian pear, great for hedges and screens where you're trimming it, and great for that beautiful spreading tree in a slightly sheltered spot. It's sort of like I've sat under Manchurian pears, and the branch bed on a lovely Manchurian pear has been like 10 or 12 metres wide. And I've sat there and I imagined that a whole family could have a Sunday picnic underneath their Manchurian pear.
Must be, yeah, beautiful. All right, that will be our... Actually, we'll do one more question, actually, because I missed one here from Pete, and then we'll have to wrap that up.
Hey, Pete.
If you're still with us, he just said, do magnolias go dormant in spring, or do the leaves always stay on?
Okay. Basically, magnolias are a very, very large family, and you could divide them into two main groups. You could divide them into quite a bit, but for simplicity's sake, you put them into two main groups. One is your deciduous magnolia, and in Melbourne, people love they love one called a Solangiana magnolia. Now, your Solangiana magnolia has a beautiful big pink to mauve. It could be sort of pale pink right through to a deep mauve colour, kind of tulip style magnolia that kind of then opens up like that. And the great thing about that magnolia is that, and there's lots of different colours you can get, and what they do is they lose their leaves in autumn, they're naked through the winter, and then right at the end of winter these big buds form and break open like that, and they're covered in whatever, whether if it's a Solangiana, we love the Solangiana, all around Melbourne you get that beautiful pink flower, and that pink flower will occur all you see it all over Melbourne, and it'll grow into quite a big tree, and it's spectacular because there's masses of flowers. The flowers are fragrant, masses of flowers for weeks and weeks in the springtime. So incredible show, and then a lot of them will grow leaves and then produce the odd flower all through the summer. And so that's those ones, and they give you nice colours. And then you've got your evergreen magnolias, and your evergreen magnolias have lots of nice
Pete
big
says my ones are teddy bears. So
teddy bears stop growing for the winter, grow in spring, summer and autumn, and teddy bears keep their leaves all the time. If your teddy bear, we had a customer earlier where their teddy bear had gone sparse and it's dropped its leaves, and we had another customer who had some crook soil this year and her teddy bears dropped their leaves. Okay. And when they drop their leaves, it means they're very sick, and so they shouldn't be dropping their leaves.
All right, there you go, Pete. Hopefully that helps you out with that one there. All right, you got time for one more, you reckon, Chris, or we wrap it up? All right, we'll make this the very last one now. So this comes to us from Jack. What are good native plants for colder weather region garden beds of Australia?
Interesting question.
Where would they? Maybe they're in Tasmania or something, or maybe in the hills, like Alpine.
Yeah.
Alpine.
Yeah.
Region.
But I'm thinking.
A native.
I'm thinking Shepparton, right? Like Shepparton down to about
really
-6.
Yeah.
And really, most of your Victorian native plants do well in that Shepparton climate. Very, very few of them. So you got your Westringias, your Goodenias.
In Blue Mountains, New South Wales.
Yeah. So Westringia, Goodenias, Correas.
Yeah.
All of your grasses, your Dianellas, your
they all go good in the
your
cold.
Lamandras, your
What about
Poas,
a bit of lime lava up there as well?
Lime lava comes from the mountaintops in Sydney, up in New South Wales, up above the snow line. That's a beautiful one. That does beautifully through with frost and cold in the winter, and a nice hot bit of summer in the summer. But so your Goodenias, Westringias, Correas, and most of your callistemons and really a real lot of your grevilleas are all going to do well in that sort of climate. So, and that's the thing, is they're adapted to those Australian conditions where we're very hot in the summer, can be a bit dry in the summer, can be quite cold and wet in the winter with a bit of savage frost. You're not savage by European or American standards, but we think it's savage. Where you get a -3, a -4, a -5, or a -6. All of those things will tend to take it quite well.
Awesome. All right, well, we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for all the questions. Make sure to like this live before you leave. Before you exit, please give us a like, and do share these lives with your friends and families. We'll be back next week. On the Monday, we start at 12 o'clock Australian Standard Eastern Time. If you want to join us again, 12 p.m, that's Sydney and Melbourne time. And then we'll be back next week. Any last words, Chris, before we sign off?
Join me at lunchtime at 12 o'clock on Friday.
This Friday as well.
Friday, 12 o'clock. And what we've got is the Grower Direct Flash Sale. Now, what's going to happen, I'll be getting onto the growers this week, and I'll be getting some good deals from the growers. And we're going to put those good deals. And what we're doing is we've got Easter's looming. Now, Easter is the biggest gardening weekend of the year, and Easter is just round the corner. So with Easter looming, lots and lots of people are planning a garden project. We're going to be open and delivering all through Easter. We'll be open and delivering every day through Easter. And so if you're planning an Easter gardening project, what you want to check out is our Grower Direct Flash Sale. We'll go out to the growers, we discuss with the growers, we see what they've got that they want to move along, and they give us some really, really good deals, and we pass those good deals right on to you. And so there's about 100 plants, and you can choose from those 100 different specials. And what I do at the flash sale is I take you through those 100 specials. I give you a price. I tell you what it's good for. I say, look, you use this for that, or use that as a windbreak, a hedge, a screen, whatever. And you'll find that you get your ground covers there. You're going to get your ground covers. You're going to get everything that you need to do a fabulous garden. At the Grower Direct Flash Sale this Friday, 12 o'clock. And knowing that the last couple of weeks, what we've been doing is we've been doing a bit of an auction. And
we're going to do the auction this week?
We're going to do the auction this week. And what happens is actually...
Well, that plant behind you got auctioned.
My next job is to go, this plant here, this went off, this was a $1,300 big old weeping maple.
Yeah.
$1,300. So it went for 500 and something, didn't it? Was it?
Yeah, the camera doesn't give it justice. It's actually quite big.
Yeah, it's an enormous weeping maple, and it went off at the Grower Direct Flash Sale. Somebody saved themselves over $600, maybe nearly $700
more than half price on that.
Yeah, more than half price.
The auction.
And what it is that the auction isn't designed for us to make a lot of money. It's designed for everyone who participates to have lots of fun. So what we do is we make it that the minimum bid is 10 cents, the reserve price is 10 cents. So with the first bid, it's up for sale.
Yeah.
And the reserve price is 10 cents, the minimum bid is 10 cents, and the maximum bid is $5. So unless people go crazy at the start, it's very hard for anything to reach a high price. So what people have been doing is at the start of the thing, they start doing 10-cent bids, and all the way through to right at the end, and then at the end they go crazy with $5 bids, but the $5 bids never get up to a very high price. And somebody...
There's some strategy and luck as well, I think, with the winners, because the last winner, he won by 10 cents.
Right.
Because you can do a minimum bid of 10 and then...
Yeah, so he whacked in a 10-cent bid right at the end. And then
but they got it to a level where there was only 2 or 3 people playing, like it was in a range where only 2 or 3 people wanted to sort of...
So you could actually win with 10 cents. So different people are trying different strategies and I don't think anything is sold for more than half its value at that place. So I'll be going around the nursery, picking out a really beautiful, interesting tree and putting it up for auction. So that'll be a bit of fun, apart from the Grower Direct Flash Sale where there's 100 specials that anybody can...
Yep, so that's this Friday at 12 p.m. We've also got our 246 sale, which has just started, our clearance sale. Did you want to say anything on that, or...
Oh, right.
Pretty much speaks for itself.
So what happens is that every week we bring in 10 or 12 or 15 truckloads of plants, and we've been doing that for 18 months here. And what happens is people come in, they pick the best one of this and the best one of that, and they take all the best stuff away. And what happens is the nursery it's a big nursery. We'd keep 200,000 or 300,000 plants in here at a time. But what happens with people picking the good ones, it comes to a point where you've just got to bite the bullet, face the music. And so what we're doing is we're going through the nursery and we're picking out everything that ain't 100%, and we're marking it down like crazy just to clear it. So things that were maybe $10 or $15, we'll put them out for $2. Things that were $20, out for $4. Things that were $30 or $40, out for $6. Great big trees that might have been $100, out for $20. And what we're doing is we're filling up a section out the back. We put a bit of a colour splash on them. We haven't even got time to barcode them. And people have been in here grabbing trolleyfuls, and the stuff's going out by the truckload. And over the next month or so, what we're planning to do is basically take everything out of the nursery that ain't 100% and refill it with plants that are 100%. So it's our master plan to kind of really jazz up our nursery and make it fabulous for...
But you can also find some really good treasures and bargains in there.
Look, a guy just came in here before, and he took out a sensation maple. Cost him $20. It was 3 meters tall with a trunk this thick, and he had a smile like out to here like that. He was wrapped.
Really happy.
And that tree, I think it used to be $129 or something like that. It was never that expensive, but gee, he got it for $20.
Wow.
He went home, got the trailer, and whacked it on the trailer, and off he went. with a $120 tree that cost him $20.
I remember when we did this same sale 2 years ago, and there was ladies filling up trolleys like full of plants, and $30 and $20 a pop for the whole trolley like full of plants.
Yeah.
So if you want to feel, this is a really good opportunity for you. If you like to look after plants, a bit of TLC, and get your garden looking really fantastic. Some great treasures in there.
And there's things, you know, that used to cost $30-$40, just going out for a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
So it's we're biting the bullet, and we're clearing the place out, and basically it helps us renew our nursery, and it helps you renew your garden.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you've been thinking that, you know, with high petrol prices and high interest rates and high this and high that, you can't afford to do your garden, at our $2, $4, $6, $10, $20 sale, and there's nothing over $20 in that sale. At that sale, you can actually do your garden with a bit of thought, a bit of care. You could actually do your garden for peanuts. Come in and fill up a trolley for $30.
All right, awesome. And with that, guys, we'll leave it. So you can join us this Friday, 12 o'clock Australian Standard Eastern Time, and also next Monday. If you want to join the live Q&A, if you have any more questions, just join us. Or if you didn't get your question answered in today's live Q&A, you can just join us next Monday. Chris will be available to answer your questions. All right, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.